Good evening, everyone, and welcome. I'm Catherine Bailey, one of the co-founders of LaunchBox Ladies. It is my pleasure to welcome all of you to our annual Ambassador Circle event. LaunchBox Ladies was born from a vision shared by Dr. Tina Richardson. I was one of several people that Dr. Richardson shared this vision with. It took me a nanosecond to jump in. We recognize the needs for the platform that specifically address the unique journey of female entrepreneurs. Our mission is to engage, inspire, and empower women in business through educational series that highlights both the challenges and the triumphs of female entrepreneurs who are making a significant impact in the Lehigh Valley and beyond. The Ambassador Circle is the cornerstone of our yearly activities. It's more than just an event. It's a celebration of the female leadership and innovation that we have here in the Lehigh Valley. Tonight, we are hearing from a keynote speaker who exemplifies the spirit of entrepreneurship and has been making waves in our community. But this evening is all about you. It's an opportunity for all of us to network, to share experiences, and to cultivate the power of women in business. By recognizing our unique challenges and celebrating our victories, we strengthen the fabric of our entrepreneurial ecosystem. Now it is my honor, and it's always a privilege, to introduce the driving force behind LaunchBox Ladies, a visionary leader in her own right, Dr. Tina Richardson, Chancellor of Penn State Lehigh Valley. Dr. Richardson's commitment to fostering innovation and supporting female entrepreneurs has been instrumental in shaping the LaunchBox Ladies initiative and its impact on our community. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Richardson.
Good evening, everyone. Oh, that's so sad. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming tonight, and a very special thank you to Catherine, who introduced me in a wonderful way. There are times when you're leading and you may not feel wonderful, but you're doing all the things that you're supposed to do and the people need you to do. Well, tonight we're going to gather to celebrate and support a powerful force in our economy, and that is female entrepreneurs. There's something about higher ed right now that feels quite entrepreneurial. Resources are never plentiful enough. The things that we're being asked to do are more than the normal job, particularly if you want to support students well. And so I find myself always thinking as an entrepreneur and trying to serve others. One of the things that I want to share a little bit of notes with you or information with you about entrepreneurship and women, because I think we need to be celebrated by one another and by everyone else, because women, according to Women's Business Enterprise, the National Council, women own 42% of all businesses in the United States. And I don't think we realize that. So 42%. And over the past 2 decades, female entrepreneurship has grown at an astounding rate of 2.5 times the national average for all businesses. And so if we're doing all these remarkable things, we certainly should come together and talk about the unique challenges we have, even though we accomplish a lot. And we should be proud about and take advantage of the opportunity to take over the business world, if that's what we want to do. I will say that women are progressing profoundly in this space, but we haven't done enough. We haven't reached our full potential. And the path of a female entrepreneur is not without its hurdles. Many women struggle to secure funding. They find it's difficult to find mentors and to build a robust support system. This is precisely why our Lehigh Valley LaunchBox exists today, and certainly the LaunchBox Ladies Initiative. If you're growing and succeeding at such a rapid rate, people will believe, oh, we have reached parity, and therefore perhaps we don't need these kinds of initiatives. But if you are a woman working in a business or owning a business, I guarantee you, anyone who watches your journey and observes your work recognizes that, yeah, there's more work to do. So the core mission of LaunchBox Ladies is to walk alongside female entrepreneurs. We're not leaving anyone behind. We believe that our male colleagues, our sons, our husbands, our partners also want support in this space. But we are indeed providing resources and support to women who experience obstacles. And where we have expertise and where we have experience that we can share with others, we certainly need to lean in. Tonight, we have the privilege of hearing from a true powerhouse in entrepreneurship. Our guest of honor, Susan Yee. Susan Yee's journey embodied the spirit and innovation and perseverance that LaunchBox Ladies strives to foster. Susan is the CEO of Active Data, a technology company she founded in 1991. 1991. And she's here today to talk to us about that. Her company builds event communities through its active calendar service, making it easy for people to search, find, register for, and share events. With her clients including companies like the Mayo Clinic, New England Patriots. How many people like football? Yay. New York City Public Schools Department of Education. Those are just a few. Susan's impact clearly reaches far and wide, but Susan's story goes beyond her current success. She began her career in the cable television industry, overseeing operations, marketing, and contract negotiations with major programmers like CNN, ESPN, HBO, and MTV. Her experience includes involvement in a $100 million merger and negotiation on patent and trade market matters, software licensing, company acquisitions, and employee agreements. Now, this is why you need to read the bio of the people you know and love, because sometimes we're walking around in the company of brilliance and we don't know all the details. We just know that this is a phenomenal woman. And so Susan's leadership, I will say, extends beyond her own company. She has served on, or is currently serving on, numerous boards, including Lehigh Valley Health Network Board of Trustees, Northampton Community College Foundation Board, the Executive Committee and Board of Directors of C-SPAN, Lehigh University's Executive Education, Lafayette Bank, PBS, Channel 39. Her contributions have not gone unnoticed. And Susan has received several prestigious honors, including the Girl Scouts of Eastern Pennsylvania Take the Lead Award, Smart CEO Voltage Award as an emerging technology innovator, the YWCA Golden Laurel Award, and Lehigh Valley Business 25 Women of Influence. As a graduate of Lehigh University with a bachelor's degree in finance and marketing and a minor in international relations, Susan represents the kind of well-rounded, innovative leader that we aim to nurture through LaunchBox. Susan's story is not just inspiring, it's a testament to what women can achieve with determination, skill, and the right support system. This is the essence of what LaunchBox Ladies strives to provide, a launching pad for the next generation of female entrepreneurs who will shape our economy and our world. I'm thrilled for all of us, because we'll have the opportunity to get to know Sue better and to hear her insights on business, innovation, and leadership. Her journey and successes serve as a beacon of what is possible when we invest in and support female entrepreneurs. So I feel like I've said enough. So without further ado, I'm going to ask that Sue come up and we have a fireside chat, a conversation that will allow us to understand her journey and that will also give you an opportunity to ask her questions as well. So Sue, coming up.
I don't think I can slide this up my dress.
Don't do that.
Well, thank you, Tina. Can you hear me? And thank you for that introduction because I have two girls, a 28-year-old and a 19-year-old. I'm a geriatric mom. I had her when I was 44. 7 IVFs later, and then I got a free baby after they said, your chances of having a baby are as good without us as with us. So they sent me home and said, go on your own, and a bottle of Clos de Bois and a JW Marriott. I didn't realize I got a free baby. And when you go through IVF, you get ultrasounds every other day. So you get all these family pictures. Well, you can be half pregnant, I'm telling you, with IVF. With my free baby, they said, come back in 30 days for your ultrasounds. And I said, what? No more pictures? This is like weird. I only have like 3 ultrasounds of her. Anyway, my daughters think, and thank you for the introduction. My daughters think because I do all these different things that I work for the mafia. But I can't. When someone asks me what I do, I can't say it in 7 seconds. But thank you for that introduction.
Well, it was my pleasure. Recently we were on the golf course trying to see what we could accomplish, and
Yes.
in that time we chatted a little bit, but mostly we were having fun. I'm just going to tell her, mostly we were having fun.
Mostly we were looking for our balls.
Yeah. Okay. So that too. That was fun. But I always hear that men do business deals on the golf course, and we didn't do any business deals, but we had a great time, and each interaction I learned more. So tonight we're going to learn a little bit more about Sue together. I happen to believe she is a very modest woman, and I think that's one of the characteristics that a lot of us have, but perhaps we could break out of it tonight. How about that? So I gave everyone an overview of your career, and you span various industries. And so, in that, could you walk us through your entrepreneurial journey? Because most people are excited when they succeed in one area, but you have a very rich background, and so can you help us understand how you went from I'm going to say a college student at Lehigh to owning active data and having negotiated so many things in the cable industry? So let's start there.
Okay. Well, let me first start by saying I am not a full first generation immigrant or first generation American. I'm half because my mom was born in Mount Vernon, went back to China when she was 2. My dad was born in China, and it didn't even dawn on me that I was first generation until like, I don't know, 5, 10 years ago. I never thought of it that way. But I'm going to start a little earlier than college. I think I'd like to start because I just saw Suffs the musical. Has anyone seen that musical?
Not yet.
Oh, I recommend it for all the women out there and the men. I'm applauding the men that are here. Thank you very much. It's important that you're here. Yay. Because we need the men to help us get to where we are. The Suffs is about the women's suffragist movement in when we got the right to vote in 1920. And it's a wonderful musical. Cheered, cried, laughed. It's about the struggles that women had to make and the sacrifices to get the right to vote, right? And the reason why I'm starting there is because when I was born, my parents bought only blue clothes because I'm a firstborn, and they thought for sure I'd be a boy. So I disappointed them right out of the canal, and I was born a girl, and they had to go out and buy new clothes. And then I kind of wrecked my family hierarchy because then I had 2 younger brothers. So psychologically, my whole family dynamic got messed up because I was a girl. In the 70s, early 70s, I went to my mom, the saint that she has, bought me pants to wear to school. And some of you were born after the 70s, so you won't even understand this, but I wore pants to school. My dad was so mad. He made me take them off and he cut them because girls weren't supposed to wear pants to school in the 70s. It might have been the 60s, it could have been earlier, but that's when my recognition that I was really a girl started. And my dad, all along, we had a family business. And he always wanted to groom my brothers to take over, but I kind of surprised him or kind of didn't give up. And I said, well, I can do what they can do. So I just did what I wanted to do and did it as best I could. And I think that's why I started doing what I was doing in college and after college and the businesses that I started. So I grew up with a family that wanted me to be a boy. And I remember we did international business. We were in the back of a limo, and my dad was talking to some high government official in Asia. He goes, Sue, he was talking about me. I'm right across from him in this limo. Sue is such a great person, great business person. If only she was a boy. And he says it right in front of me. At that point, though, my therapist already said, don't worry about it. That's just how he is. So I was okay with it. You have to accept things as they are. But that's been what's driven me and driven me to not be quiet. And I encourage all of you not to be quiet. Don't be afraid to do what you want to do and do what you need to do. And don't be afraid to say what you want to say.
So does that mean that you took over the family business? You ran the business? How did that work?
Well, I kind of did it in a weird way. And this is advice for anyone. Like when you feel like you're locked and you're pegged in a certain way, you can show your value in other ways. So in the family hierarchy, right, I was handling content licensing for launching HBO and CNN and the ESPNs of the world back in the early 80s, which dates me. And so there was when you're working for a company or in an environment where people already have pegged you and you feel like there's a ceiling, there are other ways to validate your worth. So what I ended up doing is I ended up joining associations. I joined the Cable Television Association, and I became treasurer, and I was on the executive committee. I got invited, and this is how I became COO. I got invited to join the C-SPAN board of directors, but you had to be a C-suite person. Well, it's a family business. You don't have formal titles, but I said, Dad, I have to be a COO. You can be the CEO, but I have to be COO if you want me to be on this board. And he said, okay, whatever that means. I don't even know if he knew what it meant. And so then I got the title of COO.
Okay.
Contrary to my brothers, I should ask them what they thought about that, but maybe I'm afraid. No, I'm not afraid, right? I'm going to ask.
It's less relevant now.
Yeah, it is.
So you have more time to ask if you want. So how long did you work for the cable company in whatever titled position you needed to be before you decided to transition to doing a new venture that was yours?
Yeah, so I worked for probably about 15 years in the cable company. And actually, again, I was in this family business where my family raised us to work for the family business. They didn't want us to work anywhere else. But in college, I snuck out. I worked for, do you remember Bamberger's? I got a job at Bamberger's, and they were so mad. Like, what are you doing? If you're going to work, you better work for us. I was kind of, expected to work and contribute every waking hour to the family, but I wanted discounts at Bamberger's, so I got that job. But I was there for 15 years, and again, externally validating my worth, outside with associations, with networks, with other industry professionals, and that kind of guaranteed my or gave me a lot more credibility within the company as well. So if you validate yourself outside with things that you do, whether it's speaking or being on a panel or joining associations in your industry, that tells people that you have the ability to provide other skills that maybe someone's not tapping into.
So it's clear that you, created the path to opportunities outside of the family business. Um, at some point, who did the family business transition to?
Okay, well, I didn't answer your question. So what happened then, through my legislative work, and I'll share, Stan Singer was the executive director of the Cable Association at the time, and he was leading the way, and that was at the time when the telecom companies, the AT&Ts of the world, were encroaching on cable television's market. So the telecom companies were trying to get into cable television. And just one side note, my friend Stan Singer gave me this one thing that I hope you all remember. He said to me, Sue, don't ever forget, friends come and go, but enemies accumulate. So through that, I saw, and again, through the external validation, through this industry association, I learned, hey, we have to watch our market. It's going to take a lot to get into the telephone business, and look where cable television is now. We need to look at our alternatives, and that's when we started evaluating exiting the industry. So that we exited the industry and then merged with RCN.
So you had a successful transition and merger.
Yes.
And then you were faced with, what do I do next?
Yeah. Then well, first of all, our office furniture was like 20 years old. So the first thing we did was buy new furniture. But we also had some, in terms of the transaction, we had some, legal disputes because there were some divestitures happening, and the stock that we got wasn't the same stock that we thought we were going to get. So, I had to negotiate a $50 million lawsuit, and that was a 4-hour conversation in the CEO's office, and probably 2 of it was talking about our kids. But I guess as women, we all want to be perfectionists. We all want to do the thing exactly how it's supposed to be done, right? We all want to prepare and do our homework, and that's our asset and our strength. But at the same time, I think y'all also have to remember the other side of reality, and it's relationships. It's building trust. It's establishing your power base. It's having that authority or assertiveness so that folks don't take advantage. And so, yeah, we took those funds, bought new furniture, and we said, okay, the next thing we want to do, we were in the cable business, which is distribution of content. Well, let's start building content, and I started a web community called RNCI, and we called Region Online. I don't know if you remember that. But we built and I had the website the other day. We built interactive games, personal website directories. We built corporate directories. We built websites. We built news feeds in the late 90s. So we were a little bit early for our time. But yeah, so that's what I did next.
So how did you transition that to calendaring?
Well, and again, some of you may or may not have lived through this, but in the early 2000s, when the internet bomb happened, well, we were part of it. What happened was, if you look back, the internet boomed. It was wonderful. No one had web pages, so we had to build web pages to get advertisers. But then you had all these web pages. If you look at real estate, if you think about the advertising world, you only have so much real estate. Well, there's so much real estate, not enough eyeballs, right? So that's what the internet boom caused. All these pages and pages of ads, but there weren't enough people. There wasn't enough volume. There's a limited number of people that could see those pages, and therefore it totally diluted ad revenue. So the ad side of our business crashed and burned, I have to admit, and then we converted the technologies and built the calendar business.
No, that's pretty exciting from the standpoint of we're always talking to entrepreneurs about being able to pivot. You know, one thing can fail, but everything doesn't have to. So how did you figure out that the calendaring business would be a good one? Because I think, when I read somewhere that it was like 2009 before, the personal calendaring for personal use became a thing. And you seem to be a little bit ahead of that curve. How did you do it?
Yeah, well, first of all, just a correction. We found it activated in 99, not 91. 99, sorry.
99. Okay.
That's the perfectionist side of me. I had to just correct everyone, so.
No problem. I had it in my notes.
Okay. So it's funny, you have these, when you start out or you start a business and you want to do something, for some reason, you always think of the most complicated thing to build, and you think that's going to get you the most money. Well, we never would have thought that out of all our assets, out of the community websites we built, that a simple thing like a calendar would be what people need. And this is enterprise calendaring. So for colleges, it was, even colleges now, and I'm sad to say we sold a lot of those assets in 2017, but you can't see what's happening in one day in the athletic schedule, the alumni schedule, the student activities schedule, the academic schedule. In any one day, you can't see what's going on. You have to go to 8 different places. So what we're able to do is bring that into one calendaring repository and use the web to be able to filter and slice and dice based on a day or an interest that you want to find. And so we pivoted and said, gee, there is a need, and it actually started at Lehigh. Lehigh University helped us build the features that a lot of our other education clients bought.
Okay.
And that's how we grew the calendar business.
And so you've been in the calendar business since 1991, 1999, 1999. And how has it changed? Because everybody uses online calendars now, with the exception of one of my board members this morning still said he writes his in a, So everyone is using it. How do you innovate now?
Well, we sold the calendar assets in
Mhm.
2017 to Dude Solutions.
Okay.
But what we found, and there's a difference between personal calendars and enterprise calendars. We are in the enterprise calendar business. And one of the challenges in calendars is that they're a lot different formats, right? So there's no standard to calendaring. So that makes it an opportunity, but also there's no standard. So sometimes your calendar, you're able to view, and sometimes you can't. You can look at a Google Calendar versus a Microsoft Calendar. They sometimes don't mix. What's changed, it actually hasn't changed that much, if you ask me. But, it's just much more information is available. It's still a mess out there. So if you want to invent something, come see me and I'll advise you as to what the pitfalls are. So, and now what I do is SCY Investments is my investment arm.
Okay.
So I have over a dozen investments in various startups.
So let's talk about that, because I know you're an angel investor, and I'm curious what types of companies you invest in and why.
Well, my best investments are one where I have expertise. Some of the investments I've made were because I had herd mentality. And if some of you are raising money, I highly advise that you participate or attend pitch sessions of other companies. And they're in Philly, they might be here. There's one in October that I'm a judge for, Startup Lehigh Valley.
Startup
You're
Lehigh
a part
Valley.
of that.
Yes.
Right. If you're thinking of starting a company and raising money, I strongly urge you to go to these events where you hear entrepreneurs pitch their business model and why they're raising money. Because you have to start at, I advise you to start at the end. Whatever you want to do, start at the end and then work your way to build to where you want to be at the end. I don't know. I know that sounds weird.
So explain that.
Well, for instance, if, I mean, this is a whole then discussion about my philosophy on investing.
And that's a good philosophy
Well,
to
so
share.
So I'm on the executive committee of the Broad Street Angels, which is a Union League affiliation club based in Philadelphia. We see 3 pitches a month, except for in the month of August. And we make decisions individually, but we do due diligence as a team.
Mhm.
And when I see pitches, well, actually at the start of Lehigh Valley when I see pitches, and I think last year I called a couple out.
Yeah.
When I am hearing someone looking for my money as an investor, I quickly identify that they're not really building their business so that an investor can get a return. Does that make sense? They're building it because they want to control their own destiny. That's kind of why I did it. I wanted to make my own decisions. So if I smell that someone is really building a lifestyle business, I don't invest because I'll never get my money out. So, but if I see someone that has the end, like I want to exit because I want to sell my company to a strategic, or I want to grow it to be XYZ and then start another company, or I want to grow it and I want to get it to an IPO, or I want to go public and I really want to grow it big. Those are items and things you have to think about when you're building your company. And it might take you a little while to like navigate through, but whenever I see pitches and I see forecasts, I invest in the assumptions that the CEO is making. I invest in the CEO, and I invest on whether or not I agree with the assumptions that the CEO is making that they're asking the money for. Because I know it's not going to go as planned, and those assumptions, I'm investing in you, the CEO's ability to test those assumptions. But if I don't believe the assumptions that the CEO is making, I don't invest then either. And I invest in a lot, believe me. It sounds like I don't invest in anything, but I do. But really, it's when you're starting a company, you got to make assumptions that sound realistic, that help you just get to the next phase. You can't make assumptions that are, oh, I'm going to be a $1 billion company, so my valuation when I'm raising money is going to be $20 million, even though I have no revenue. That's not, you don't invest in a valuation, that's an idea. But an investor will invest in your next stage if it's realistic. And you have to give that investor room to grow their investment. So if you start at a lower valuation, much more attractive to an investor, because then they have much more upside when you get to the next phase of growth and your valuation doubles, then their investment doubles too. I mean, that's a whole different conversation.
So what you're implying, because you have the technology background, it sounds like technology companies are going to appeal to you because you know that process.
Yes.
And so what you're doing at the Union League, hearing those 3 pitches, I don't know what kind of companies are typically pitched. Can you say a little bit about that?
Yeah, we don't specify, industry, because we're a group of 120 people and we have all different backgrounds. And one of the beauties of that club is that there are due diligence teams of people that are interested. Someone might be an intellectual property attorney. Someone else might be a real estate guy. Someone else might be a physician. And depending on the deal, different people will express interest, or we can tap into experts in that field and go, is this a real problem that you have? But in terms of what I invest in, I do a lot of technology investments. I've done a lot of healthcare investments. I don't do consumer because, and that's a lot of women go into the retail and consumer side, right? But I don't do a lot of that because it requires a lot of dollars in brand marketing. And the consumer is very fickle. And unless you have the ability to have a great product along with the marketing expertise, and you've solved a problem to the consumer, it's a very competitive world. So I personally don't do consumer, but I know we do have a lot of, one of our companies that other folks invested in made it to Shark Tank, but she got turned down, unfortunately.
So it sound, I described you as an angel investor, but it sounds like you're a venture capital investor as well, or primarily. I'm not sure. I can't tell yet.
Well, I'm an angel investor, and I guess the characterization of an angel investor is someone that's in the seed, seed, pre-series A, maybe Series A. And let me just tell you, this all sounds like gobbledygook, but I'm just sharing with you, this is so important. If you're looking to build a company, go to these events where you learn. Go to these events where you hear other pitches. Go to these events where you see what questions investors are asking. Go to the events to get the lingo. Series A, pre-Series A, seed, Series B, it's not a science. It is just a description of where you are in your stage. I've invested in a seed round, no, pre-seed round, and then it was a seed round, seed one round, and then they said, well, now normally you would then go to a Series A, then it was a seed 2 round, and then it was a seed 3 round. Like they just extended that phase in their life cycle. But angel investors usually invest in the seed to the pre-seed, seed, Series A. Other than that, before that, that's idea investing. And I don't know if you do that in LaunchBox. If it's cultivating ideas, then that's usually friends and family. I need 50,000 or I need 100,000. Usually in the rounds that we participate and get pitched on, folks are looking for anywhere from 500,000 to 5 million.
And LaunchBox is early stage startup, and we take people from the idea phase to the opportunity to test the concept that they have. So we really kind of protect them from themselves in the early stages. And we're not investing, actually. We're trying to prepare them to get them ready to pitch. And so I think that's our unique, well, somewhat our unique space in the entrepreneurial network in the Lehigh Valley. So you won't see most of our entrepreneurs. You won't see most of our entrepreneurs, and I think we have the.
Why is that? Why won't I see them?
You unless they're pitching in the October pitch event, which was Startup Lehigh Valley.
Because they're early.
They're very early stage.
I hope they all get to the next level and I get to see them.
Well,
Sorry.
I hope you do too. And for those who have more of a tech orientation versus a service business, the tech company might be scalable in a different way than some of the service companies that you've seen already by being a judge in.
Yeah, and that's the difference between if you're building a business to build a small business for your lifestyle versus you're building a business for investors. And of course, then you benefit from that too. And that's a thing that I think men seem to, this is anecdotal, but I think men do more of than women. Women want to go out and you all tell me, but I know that's why I did it. I did it because I wanted to control my destiny, my schedule, even though it controlled me, and I didn't know it, but I wanted, but at least it was my choice. My dad used to he fired me like 3 or 4 times, and my mother was the one that rehired me, right? So my mother was the best. But, but men tend to feel okay with OPM. You know what OPM is? Other people's money, right? They're comfortable with that. They're comfortable with like putting themselves out there and risking other people's money versus their own. And I know with me, and I don't know about women and you all, but I think there's a great responsibility when you have other people's money. So you almost feel like, you have to be even more careful with it. Whereas that's not really the attitude you need to take if you want to scale. You need money to scale.
So I'm doing a little bit of research on a organization called How Women Lead, and under that, within that organization, they have a division of How Women Invest, and the data is showing that the return on investment when you invest in women entrepreneurs is a better return. They receive less funding, but what they do with the funding, because the mindset is we have very little, and so we have to make it stretch. Um, if they have a good product, whether it's technology, healthcare, etc., um, they do more with it, and the return is higher. Now, I don't know what your experience has been, but we're sitting in a room talking about entrepreneurship and women. So, what has your experience been in identifying women entrepreneurs, tech space, healthcare, otherwise, and the return on investment that's made?
Well, so I serve on the Broad Street Angels, and it's a bunch, 120 members. We invest anywhere from 25,000, and one time one of the investors invested $1 million in a company called Hauser. So individually, we invest that way. I'm also a venture partner of a women-led fund called Stage Next Ventures,
Okay.
and I do accelerated or I do a lot of the screening, or we'll do due diligence on women entrepreneurs, women-led companies. What I've found in terms of when I don't know if this is women versus men, but what I have found is that a lot of times women will focus on detail and get too much in the weeds versus the higher concept of this is where I'm going, this is the problem I'm solving, and this is where I'm going to be. Right? There's a lot of justification. And again, that's that responsibility of other people's money. You feel like you have to share your expertise by giving out all these details, the fact that you master your stuff, rather than just going in there saying, I know my stuff. Now this is how I'm going to spend your money, and this is what I'm going to accomplish with it. And this is why it's going to be a good investment. So I found in terms, now that happens with some of the men too.
Sure.
It's not like just
Sure.
only women, but I found that women are very much focused on kind of like I don't know if it's guilt for having to need money. I don't know what it is, but or defensiveness because they need the money. I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it. You probably all can come up with a verb or an adjective for me, but I feel like women have to prove that they are smart enough and have the right plan for the money. But what happens is you only get like 10 minutes to pitch, or 15 minutes sometimes. And if you spend 12 of your minutes on details, you don't ever get to the more important stuff. And that's where I see people fail.
So, do you? I know one of the ways
I
you
know
can
I've
support.
deflected talking about me, so
No.
I'm happy. I hope this is interesting to you too.
So I think we're learning about you in this process. So don't think you're getting away. But what I would say is, how do you then? We know you invest financially, but how do you mentor? Because some of the things that you identified in how women pitch, women who stumble in their pitch, right? They don't use their time well. How do you mentor? And what mentoring is available? Because you know these things because you learned them along the way, being raised in a entrepreneurial family, right? You were raised by entrepreneurs, so it's kind of in your DNA. How do you mentor? Given that we all know that issue arises in the pitch process.
I don't know. If someone asks me, I mentor. It's if someone seeks some guidance or advice, I mean, I'm happy to share, right? Sometimes, I might be added as an advisor officially, or but yeah, in terms of mentoring,
Because that seems to be important.
yeah, I
to
think,
get it.
I think, well, so I wish I would have known the investment side and the scaling side and what investors look for when I started my companies. So that's why I'm sharing that with you. If you're looking to start a company, really understand the mind of an investor. I mean, I've written like, what investors look for. I'm happy to share that with you if you
That
want.
would be great.
Because I've done that at the Angel Venture Forum in Philadelphia. So I share my observations, right? Because CEOs are very fragile. You're already trying to start something that no one's done before. So there's always that little sense of insecurity. Is this really something that's going to be great? Or is it just all of, in my imagination? So I think that's where you just need that confidence and you need the guidance to maybe say, oh, well, I was thinking this way. And again, it's the assumptions thing, but maybe I should think that way instead.
So I'm going to ask you another question about would you invest in a company where the idea that was pitched, the business that was pitched was good, but the CEO isn't the right person to lead it? Okay, so you just walk away. There's never a situation where you would make the investment conditional with
You mean to
bringing
replace the CEO? Oh, yeah, that's always
because
an option.
yeah.
The CEO and their determination to make things work and do whatever it takes to make things work, especially to protect their investors, is probably, I don't know, 60 to 80%, 60 to 70% of it. That's so important because you're going to get to problems and how you solve those problems. COVID, the best CEOs got through it. The worst CEOs complained and whined about it and made it an excuse. And that's not attractive. It's not attractive.
I know through COVID, one of the things that we quickly did was we pivoted and put our programs online. So we did LaunchBox Lady Series went online, other activities went online. We certainly did Idea Test Lab and mastermind sessions online. And I remember we were in the process of trying to figure out what to do with the teen camp. And we reached out to some of the companies that had supported the teen entrepreneurship camp. And we asked them, would they continue to support us if we put the teen camp online? And they said, absolutely, because everybody else, all the other colleges and universities or nonprofits that did programs for in K-12, particularly at high schools, they just asked could they keep the money. They didn't pivot to do the program using the technology that was available. And I had never, the LaunchBox team never considered just saying we'll wait a year, wait till it comes back, in person. And so that's one of the things that allowed us to continue. But we're still trying to figure out how to help women entrepreneurs, how to help entrepreneurs in general, how to help students who are currently they will describe themselves as having a side hustle, but in reality they have a business. How to get them to go from the side hustle to understanding that they're an entrepreneur, and they need help to refine business practices.
Yeah. The other thing I see too, and when I see new CEOs, it's so confusing when you're starting your business, right? So on the one hand, you're pitching and you have to be confident that your business is great and you're going to do this and that, and you have to be really confident. On the other side, you have to be open to criticism and constructive feedback and admitting to a mistake, right? So what is it? Open to feedback and like making sure that you're open to if you're making a mistake, or being totally committed to what you're working on. That can be very confusing. And but from my perspective, when I see CEOs like that, I feel bad because then you get wagged. You listen to one person, they want you to do this way. You listen to another person, they want you to do it that way. and then it gets all confusing and you lose your sense of direction and really your confidence level. So I like to advise folks to say, look, again, when you're starting your business, just make sure you are putting together assumptions on what will make the business succeed. That's all we're investing in. We're investing in your ability to make good assumptions, but also your ability, we're investing in the assumptions. And if they're wrong, we're wrong together. And your investor, as long as you're open with your investor, go, look, this obviously didn't work out. I'm not going to hold on to this forever and keep sinking money into something that's not the right assumption. Your ability to see that is also very valuable.
So I'm going to ask you one more question, and then I'm going to open it up to the audience. My question, you are an angel investor, and in order to become an angel investor, there are some guidelines. You have to be an accredited investor to invest at the level. So can you share with the audience, because I don't know how many people in the audience are angel investors or are venture capital investors, but there's some regulatory issues around that, or at least some guidelines.
Yeah, they've changed in the last couple of years, and I don't know the total rules, but I think you have to have like $1 million in assets, and that could include your house. I think
It
no,
can,
it doesn't.
it can,
No,
it
you
can
know?
include your house.
It can.
Cannot.
Okay,
Mhm.
and it can include your house, but but it won't include the equity. Oh, I thought it could. And $1 million in net worth. Okay, there you go. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thanks, Cindy. Appreciate it. Thank you. It doesn't mean you can't go to investor pitches, though. You can go. You're not. Well, actually, I'm sorry to say, people aren't supposed to pitch to you if you're not an accredited investor.
Right.
Let me share with you, though, there are events. For instance, there's an event called the Snake Pit that I've been a judge in, and they select firms to pitch, but they're not pitching for money. The judges and the panelists at those events are just giving feedback on how they can make their pitch better. So you can attend those. Those are very valuable. And if you want to, find out when they are, I can find out when they are. So if you go to events that are the Philadelphia Area Capital Technologies Group also does, like the Lion's Den, right? They're pitching to the panelists on stage. There are a lot of people in the audience that might not be accredited investors, but those are not meant to pitch to the audience. They're meant to just share what their presentations are like. So
You do a lot in Philadelphia, but are there opportunities in the Lehigh Valley?
yeah, there is the Lehigh Valley Angels Group.
Okay.
It happens to be the same night as my Philadelphia one, so I can't make it. I'd love to
Okay.
be there, but yeah, there are opportunities to participate. And the Startup Lehigh Valley is a wonderful opportunity. LaunchBox is a great opportunity. There's places in other education places. I won't mention them here.
You won't mention them here. Okay.
But
I
Ben
my-
Franklin
Yeah,
is
Ben
wonderful.
Franklin. I don't happen to participate in anything in the Lehigh Valley, but I do more broadly. So
Well, we need to do more in the Lehigh Valley. And there is an initiative, there is a venture fund that's starting. I don't know if you know Travis. There's a fund that's starting that wants to invest in the Lehigh Valley. So it's starting. We got to start somewhere.
yeah, I don't know how, what the level of awareness is of folks in the audience, but I'm going to stop asking questions and we'll turn the mic over to anyone who has a question.
Thank you. Hi, Susan. Erica Petrozelli with the Community Foundation. It's good to see you.
Hi.
Yes.
How are you?
So we're a grant maker in the community, but we're also thinking about making direct investments into for-profit companies that are doing social good work in our areas. And I'm wondering if that's something you've ever explored, and if so, how you have been thinking about that, because it's quite different from just trying to achieve a financial return, right?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think then, the business model, well, you can accomplish profitability and still do good, right? And I think that's the model that you're looking at. And it's no different, except there's an additional intangible benefit, and that is the social impact. So I think that's great that you're thinking about doing that. The key is always, even for a nonprofit, is sustainability, right? So how can you build, like look at Paul Newman's salad dressing, right? He's made a for-profit salad dressing business, gives all the profit away for good. I mean, you have to build a good business to be able to keep doing it. If not, it becomes a nonprofit and a no-profit company.
So it's my understanding that IKEA is a nonprofit?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes. And whoever wrote the paperwork on that did a phenomenal job because their mission was to make quality furniture available to people with limited resources. Now, isn't that a nice spin?
Yeah.
But they are indeed a nonprofit, multi-billion-dollar organization.
But yeah, I'd love to, if you know, I'd love to participate. That'd be great. Happy to help out.
Other questions?
Thanks. Dr. Richardson, how can we as a community support the growth of female entrepreneurs utilizing LaunchBox's programs and initiatives? And also, what kind of funding does LaunchBox need?
So you asked really good questions. I mean, primarily, we've been providing our services for free. And I will tell you that that's not a good business model because we need a sustainability model. You know, we do have a small endowment that allows us to do some of the work that we do. But the concept was that we would provide entrepreneurial services to the community. I think we're now at a point where we have to build a business model that will allow us to do more and do better. But part of it is fee for services. We provide, with the exception of the Teen Entrepreneurship Camp, we right now provide everything for free. And the law clinic at University Park, that you know, those services are free. And so we need to build a business model around entrepreneurship. You know, there's no other way to say it. We can you know, perhaps expand the amount of co-working space, you know, our footprint in that space, and then charge for, you know, a nominal fee to help people launch businesses. But we've got to find sponsorships. We have to find ways to charge for our services and make it affordable, but allow it to not only cover our expenses, but allow us to build some revenue. I'll open it to the audience. What are some of the ways that you think we could provide services and build a model of sustainability?
Thank you. Hi. I'm probably speaking of the way early stage, right? So maybe it's more pertinent to people who are seeking the services of the university. But my bank's roots are in Bucks County, so we have a program called Startup Bucks, where I had the opportunity to meet a lot of young entrepreneurs, technology, people who are interested in scaling. And one of the things we found is that their interest and their passion needed to be rounded out with basic financial skills. And many of them didn't even realize basic banking. I'm talking personal and products and services that if they're at the friends and family stage, how that would work, and then how they navigate to the next. And I do think there's an opportunity for banking organizations to partner with education and some of that in the earlier stages. That's what we found.
Thank you for that suggestion. We've had some conversations, in that realm. But I think when LaunchBox was started, um, the university said we must provide services for free. The university cannot say that now. And so now we need to use all the business knowledge that we've accumulated and partnering with community banks, partnering with other organizations. We've had discussions with neighboring companies where they have a entrepreneurship or entrepreneurship initiative, and they want our help. So there are opportunities for us to build out a business model that would work. And we also need to promote LaunchBox more and ask for donations to support the initiative. Because we have a nice following. I think over the past you know, several years, we've had over 2,000 people attend LaunchBox Ladies events. But the events have been free. That's not a good business model. So I think we have some work to do ourselves. But yeah, there are organizations that have supported us when we've asked for sponsorship, particularly for LaunchBox Ladies Ambassador Circle. Other questions?
Sue, can you talk about the value of your networks? Could you identify like 4 or 5 people in your network from earlier on that are still with you? You don't have to mention names, just types. And now 4 or 5 in your world today that you depend on.
Oh, Mike Krasia is one.
Yeah.
It's funny. So I'm on LinkedIn, so feel free to, LinkedIn with me. And Lehigh alum, recent Lehigh alum, reached out to me, sent me a message, and of course I'll respond as someone that went to Lehigh. I always want to help someone in my alma mater. And she said, can we schedule some time to talk about how to network? I said, well, you just networked with me, good job. But then we set up some time, and she said, I'm going, and we Zoomed, and she said, I'm going to these conferences, and I'm going up to the keynote speaker, and like, I try to get their attention, or I get their contact information, and then they blow me off. So I'm not making any progress. I said, wait. You're going about it the wrong way. Who you need to network with, and really the value of networking isn't networking up. It's networking horizontally. It's the person you're getting coffee with who is perhaps a mid-level manager like you, who in 5 years is going to be a senior VP. That's how you network. You network with your peers, and then you grow in your careers. And then by the time you get to be my age, they're at those levels. And so, Mike, to your question, my network and my go-tos have changed because people come and go, but enemies accumulate. They've changed based on what I'm doing now. Like right now, this Union League, 120 angel investors. That's a great network I tap into now. They tap into me. They say, "Hey, do you know anyone in the Lehigh Valley?" I go, "Yeah, I know Tina." But so that's how I've grown my network and my go-tos, or just through my business dealings, or just my friends that I've met through different organizational events, or even socially that I learn about. I don't know if that answers that, Mike, but it's peer-to-peer networking, and then you grow in your careers, and then you can tap into them when they get into positions of authority, which is great.
Yeah, I think early on you said join professional networks. That was really important, and it continues to be important no matter what level you're at. So what are the professional networks you're in? And are you always thinking about how you can expand your network? Because I know there are times when I have to say, I need to expand the network in order to achieve the next level of access, understanding, or even innovative ideas. I mean, I need a group that I can exchange ideas with in higher ed. And so I'm always expanding in that way.
Well, it's not just joining an association or a network. It's actually volunteering onto committees. Because it's at that committee work or in that project or that event planning committee where other people see your skill set. And you can have credibility by the success that you bring to whatever committee you're on, or, whatever you say, or, people are then seeing your value. And that's how your network really is substantive and validated.
Yeah, it's not sitting in the room. It's how you lean in when you're in the room. Other questions?
You want to ask me about how I'm a mom? I don't even know how I'm a mom, but no mom questions?
Thanks,
No working mom questions? I'm shocked.
thanks, Cindy. Thank you for coming, Susan. We really appreciate it and sharing your expertise. It's very helpful. So I had a question. A lot of our new entrepreneurs are students. And a question I hear a lot of, and I heard it today from a couple students too, is networking's critical. They know that. They know it's important. But if you've just got it in the beginning, how do they start doing it as a student? What would you recommend to somebody brand new to networking?
I would say join leadership, like join clubs and become leaders, and or you're not born a leader, but well, I guess sometimes you are. But take leadership roles. That's how you practice, you learn, you get visibility. You have to talk to folks when you're in leadership roles, or you should. That's how I would network. I would network because then you also get visibility with an administration. Because if it's a student club, then you have to work with someone in the administration. You get visibility there. It's making those engagements and those relationships that really make a difference and help you stand out from others.
Hi, my name is Dr. Crystal J. Thank you for this. This has been amazing. I'm a coaching consultant for business owners, and so I'm actually asking like a market research type question. I help them build build their legacy without shortening their lifespan. So as you, I know there's a lot of startup conversations, but for the more established business owner, what do you find that they're most in need of? Like, what do they need support with as they navigate their business? Are they having trouble manage their well-being? Like as a mom, like managing all these different things, their well-being, their health, their relationships. Do you see that taking a strain on as they build their business?
Yes.
What do you find is holding them back from prioritizing themselves and their health?
I think it's a support network. Having the right partner and having the right friends and family that are there to help cover when your kid needs to be picked up from somewhere, or you have a question, or it's that support network that is critical. That's what I think helps you through. And there are those of us. I mean, I'm divorced and widowed. First marriage, first daughter, divorced. Second daughter, second marriage, widowed. And so, being a single mom and raising, but listen, I can't complain. I've had the pleasure of having au pairs, so I had a lot of resources with me. But still, if you have a partner, having someone that, supports what you're doing and is willing to pick up, when you need it, when you have a problem at work, or you have an HR issue you have to deal with. Those things just don't get put aside because your kid's in gymnastics, unfortunately.
Right.
They don't.
And starting, you said
And
starting-
my daughter reminds me when I forgot her at gymnastics. I'm like, oh my God, Zoe, one time.
And you said starting your business in 1999 compared to now. What do you think are the main differences for female entrepreneurship, and where do you see it going? Like, what is needed? What have we gained in those 20 years versus where do you think we need?
You know what? I think the biggest difference like when I was starting, I mean, it was male dominated. When I was starting, ashtrays were an office supply. If you remember that, people smoked in the office. And it was male dominated. I know I'm dating myself, aren't I? Today, all of us women have an opportunity. So you have now visibility to be able to succeed. You have the chance now that we didn't have 30, 40 years ago. So now it's just prove that you can do it. You are there, now prove that you can't do it, is kind of the mentality that I think. It's not, you have the chance, right? People are watching. The door is open most of the time. So now you just got to walk through it and show that you do it. And that's the best way. It makes me sad when I see female leaders that mess things up, because I don't think that helps any of us in terms of our reputation as a gender. But I think more so than not, you have the opportunity now that wasn't available before. And we still have a long way to go. There's still a ceiling out there that I hate to say it's just because generationally. I mean, I was just talking to someone that said, "Yeah, we should do programs that help people become better moms." And I said, I had to correct this person every time he says a better parent. It's not just better mom, be a better parent. It's to guys too. So we all have to speak up and keep keep the momentum going, and just don't be afraid to say it. That's my advice. What's different?
Mhm. I'd also add, I think, you know, all entrepreneurs fail at some point in their process. So just make sure you fail forward. I mean, I'll give my example from higher ed. Some of my male colleagues will say, um, when 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 they get fired, they just apply to other jobs. The fact that they got fired is something that they translate into um, having had a learning opportunity. Versus when women fail, um, you know, they are more hesitant to go out into the job market and try again. So if you translate that to entrepreneurship, if you fail at something, you know better what not to do again, and then you try a new iteration. So I just think being willing to fail forward is because nobody's going to succeed at everything. It is an opportunity for you to progress as well.
Here's the other thing in terms of just my philosophy. Um, Not that I don't want to be just in women groups, but the goal is to be integrated into the men's groups too. So my goal is to help women, and I'm glad to be here. Hopefully, I'm giving you something to take away. I don't know. Come talk to me later. But really, the goal, I feel it's more successful if we're leading the men's groups. That's when we know we're doing okay. I've been asked, and the reason why I know, like sometimes I think I was invited to a board or a committee or whatever because I was a woman. I'm a woman minority, right? And I sometimes I question, is that why I'm on this board? Because I fulfilled some kind of, you know, this requirement. But then I thought, you know what? I don't think they would make me chair of the committee then, if that was the case. Or either that I was dumb enough to volunteer and take on that extra responsibility. But still, that's when, you know, the testament to saying, gee, I'm not in this position just because I'm a woman. Because that's what I hope folks don't see us as a gender. I want folks to see us as someone that's competent and successful and can get the job done. And that's the image that we need to share. Now, I think the challenge is, and I know for the longest time when I was in early years of my career, I felt like I had to act like a guy. I dropped the F-bomb every now and then. Just sometimes I mean, actually smoking was in the office, drinking was appropriate at lunch. If you remember, yes, you're nodding. So, but now we all have to be comfortable being women and how we behave and not be characterized just because we don't act like men. That's what I'm working through now at this stage. Like, and hopefully what's the most helpful is when you have an audience of men that are receptive to that. Because there are a lot of men out there that still say, well, we need to do programs so that moms can be, we can be better moms versus, no, it's parents. You have to change that that ingrained way of thinking from folks that got raised with a certain stereotype. And you got to help, shepherd the way and help them learn. I think that's really key.
I also think that it's important where possible to make sure you have the most inclusive network possible. So it's not, Sue's already said, make sure, we're working alongside our male colleagues and rising to positions of leadership. But don't leave your women colleagues behind. I mean, I think we need to progress together inclusively and don't overlook some of the talent that's in the room or trying to get in the room, where you can bring people along, where you can give advice and feedback on how people can advance their cause, help there. It's free advice. If they don't take it, didn't cost them anything, and you made your best effort to support. But I think it is important to have a network where you can have any issue that you experience be an issue that you can take to somebody in your network to get insight. And so inclusiveness at least helps me a lot.
It opens the door.
It does. So I am going to say thank you, Susan, because you have given us a lot of insights. I really appreciate the questions that were asked. I even appreciate the questions that are still percolating that you will ask later. LaunchBox Ladies and LaunchBox in general is an organization where we help people move forward the ideas that they have and convert them, translate them to entrepreneurial opportunities, should you want to do that. And so thank you for helping us. Thank you for giving us insights and giving us lots to think
And
about.
get out there and vote. Women's rights are at stake here. Thank you very much.
I don't know if I can add anything to that, although I'm supposed to, aren't I? But before I do, we cannot end the evening without obviously thanking Dr. Richardson and Susan for a great evening, entertaining and also very informative. But we also can't end the evening without thanking Cindy Evans, our director of LaunchBox, Tiffany Valdez Majura, our business development coordinator, who kind of brings us all together. And also, I'd like to thank our council members who are present and who have been helpful in getting this event put together this evening. So thank you all. So, thank you again for being part of this. And as we come to a close of our annual Ambassador Circle event, we will be back next year. I hope you're leaving here not just with new insights, but with a renewed sense of purpose and possibility. Tonight, we've had the privilege of hearing from Susan Yee, a trailblazer, who embodies the spirit of innovation and resilience that defines successful female entrepreneurs. Her journey reminds us that with determination, support, and vision, we can overcome challenges and create remarkable impact. But Susan's story is just one of many among us. Look around you. This room is filled with current and future leaders, innovators, and change makers. Each of you has the potential to reshape industries, create jobs, and drive our community forward together. Remember, the purpose of LaunchBox Ladies goes beyond this single event. We're building a community, a network of support, mentorship, and collaboration. I encourage each of you and those of your friends to stay connected, to reach out to one another, and to leverage the resources that LaunchBox offers. To maintain and expand our programs, mentorship opportunities, and resources, we rely on the generous support of our community. As Dr. Richardson mentioned earlier, if you've been inspired by what you've seen and heard tonight, I invite you to consider donating to LaunchBox. On the screen and on the tables, you will see a QR code to scan. Your contribution, no matter the monetary amount, will directly impact the lives of aspiring female entrepreneurs. And not just a monetary contribution, helping out, being part of our community is also helpful to our young entrepreneurs. For those of you just starting your entrepreneurial journey, know that you're not alone. The path might not always be easy, but as we've heard tonight, it's incredibly rewarding. Don't be afraid to take that first step, to ask for help, or to offer support to others. To our seasoned entrepreneurs and leaders, your experience and insights are invaluable. I challenge you to mentor, to guide, to be part of someone's network, to inspire that next generation, to help them surpass some of the challenges that you've survived and help them get beyond them. Thank you again for your participation. Together, we can build a stronger, more inclusive business landscape in the Lehigh Valley and beyond. Have a great evening. Have a safe trip home. And again, thank you, Susan and Dr. Richardson. It's been a great evening.